All right, that was totally not the first time we did this, but that doesn't matter. Welcome to YouTube, because I'm going to be uploading some of this later. Today we need to talk about some things. Two things that we're going to talk about. Thing number one that we're going to talk about. This is the first time I've streamed in a while, and the reason for that is because I was at a tournament on the weekend. Yeah, tournaments are good. Tournaments are awesome. Now, second thing that we need to talk about is X-Wing. What I'm going to call it 2.6. So we're going to have a look at the Expo because I think that's really important. It's a Worlds qualifier. We're going to break it down. We're going to have a look at some of the lists. We're going to get excited about everything that's going on and all that lovely stuff. But also, before I get on to the Expo, I want to talk about a couple of things. Thing number one that I want to talk about is 2.6. And I think we've got to deal with this, right? The reason I'm calling it 2.6 is I think a lot of people, and we've seen it from a lot of the negativity around, which I know for a lot of you is getting really, really, really frustrating. So this isn't going to be that. But I think what we have to do is we have to be honest with what 2.6 is right now. And considering that I've just done two back-to-back tournaments, I've played 7 tournament games in 2 weekends. I've also played over 25 games in a week, prepping for the UK Expo because I had half term. I have played a lot of games of the most recent edition of AMG, and my biggest bit of feedback from someone who was considering quitting X-Wing after Worlds. And I haven't said that to many people, but there we go. That was how the first version of 2.5 made me feel. Worlds was going to be my last tournament if it stayed like that. Is that X-Wing is back, and that is how 2.6 feels, because it feels like you're back to actually playing the game. The objectives weren't the sole purpose of the game. We saw a lot of lists over the weekend that were capable of basically ignoring the objectives and just going and either killing your opponent or outpositioning their opponent and then slowly crushing them off the board. But you also saw lists which were very much control orientated that did win the game, more focused on objectives. I think what was very important is you didn't see any lists that were just focused on objectives. Because that isn't a way that you can win the game. You can't just focus on objectives and win the game now, which is really, really good to see. Because X-Wing is a game about dogfighting, right? That was the reason why we've all loved it for however many years and been coming back and playing the game, is because that dogfight was so interesting. And I think what has finally been achieved is that the extra dimension is there. Is it fixed? Absolutely not. And I will later go into some of the problems. To give you a quick rundown of some of those problems, we need to fix some of the 2-pointers still. There is issues. I'm looking at you, ISB Jingoist. Iden is probably a bit too cheap at 3, but those are small tweaks, right? In terms of the objectives themselves, the feel of them is a massive change. And I think the biggest change over the weekend and what I was doing was the changes to the first turn capture rules. The fact that you cannot collect objectives on the first turn was massive. Really, 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 really big. Because it allows people to play a bit more of a positional game to get around there. So I think that was a phenomenal change. One of the things that is still a problem is the amount of bloat in the game. There are too many upgrades, so I think loadout is still a big problem. Not with the concept, because I think it can work, but it has to be toned down, because at this point you still have too many points on ships. And because of that, there is too much stuff, which is making the game really confusing. And for anyone who has played a First Order or a Scum list recently, you know what I'm talking about, because keeping tabs of all of those upgrades is difficult. So, yeah, I think that's my biggest feedback, is that the game sucked. Like, big donkey dick sucked. And I really wasn't liking it and didn't want to play. And I have now spammed over 30 games in basically a week. 2 weeks since the new rules dropped. But yeah, I played an average of over 2 games a day. It feels good. I God, it feels good. The addict has got his crack back, so thank you for returning plastic crack to my life. There we go. That one is on the internet for everyone to see. Um, nice. So that one I want to get out of the way. So hello YouTube land. This one's coming out to you. Um, yeah, long road ahead. Still got to fix some problems, but importantly, it is getting better. So I think that deserves a thank you because I've been complaining as much as the next person. To those of you out there who hate 2.5 and think it sucks, awesome. Carry on playing 2.0, please. Don't throw away the game just to don't cut off your hand to spite your foot and XYZ. If you like X-Wing at 2.0, then keep on playing 2.0. One thing I do really want to push is for those of you who would just be throwing away the game and not doing 2.0, there is a big 2.0 community on Discord that is keeping and will be continuing to update points values and everything else. So for those of you who go, you know what, I'm out, I'm done. There are still people playing. There are still people having fun. I know for a fact that Brighton will still be having some 2.0 tournaments if there are people interested. So, and Louis' prize kits are going to be available if you want to run 2.0 tournaments yourself. So that's important, right? Just don't drop the community, because this weekend has reminded both myself but so many other people, and I've seen people posting everywhere on the Facebook group of why we play the game, because we play the game for two reasons. One, the game's great and it's enjoyable and it's fun, and if the game isn't great and enjoyable and fun, then that's a big thing that you've lost, and that's why a lot of people are going. But the other reason we play is the people. I saw people from all over Europe. We had Greece, we had France, we had Poland. I picked up a lovely man from Norway and drove him all the way from Gatwick Airport to Birmingham on the way, just because he needed a lift, so why not? I'm driving past. So please, that's what X-Wing is there for. It is gone past the game and turned into a community for so many of us. So do not throw that away if you enjoy the game just to spite a company that have changed something. So there we go. There's my soapbox. Not shit. Improving. Ta-da! Awesome. Those are the main factions and the main archetypes that we saw at the qualifier. Have I missed a faction? We've done Resistance. I think we've done all of them. Yes. So yeah, really good. It is really good, and it was a great weekend. So to those of you who were there, it was great to see you. For those of you who weren't there, then sorry you couldn't be there. I know that a lot of you really wanted to be there, and I really, really hope to see you at another event soon. I am hopeful that Germany and Italy go well, as those are the next two Worlds qualifiers. I was chatting to people from Poland and France, and they were mentioning that they were really interested in putting on some big X-Wing events over the summer if they can manage it. I think they didn't manage to get Worlds qualifiers, but they were still planning big events. So if they can put on a big event, I would say to you guys living in those countries, please do. I would love to come and visit. It would be amazing. We can definitely get some overseas going on. I think hopefully the Scandinavian countries as well, Norway, Sweden, Iceland, Finland, etc., and Denmark. The 186 Open, I would love for us to get a big event down in London. Why not? Like, if we're not going to see too many of these massive events from AMG, there's only going to be a few Worlds qualifiers, and like we don't know what OP looks like. I think it's time for the community to have a go at organising some of their own, because this was absolutely fantastic. We have the store space, certainly in a lot of places, to organise some big events. I know that obviously Sith Takers, that hit 112. I know Brighton can host a 60-player tournament. I know that London can absolutely host a 60-player tournament just by using the space in the stores. So if we can get this rolling and get X-Wing back going again, that's really key. But before I disappear, I think one thing that I really, really do want to push is not the big events, but not even the small events, actually. I want to push your weeknight X-Wing. down in Brighton, and this is not something that I have been. Yeah, basically this is my fault too. This is absolutely my fault too. I've barely been playing in person. Life gets in the way and everything else, but also with 2.5 coming in, there's been a lot of people who have stopped playing. Brighton, as an example, went from 12 people playing regularly down to 4, maybe 2. And it's really, really sad to see. And I think what we need to do is we do need to spend a bit of time and a bit of love and a care and attention for our local communities and just get on the table again. Give it a go. Because, and yes, maybe I'm tooting a horn on this one that everyone knows, but I've been super, super sad at seeing, basically, it felt like the game has just died. And in terms of this, I think for those of you who were at the Games Expo, hopefully you guys had a great time. Hopefully you can bring some of that enthusiasm back to your local areas. But something that we were talking about just in our squadron chat and over the weekend was, if you don't know where to start, pick up one of these really cool lists from the weekend. Put it on the table. You know it works. You know it's good. Any of those lists that I just mentioned will do very nasty things to your opponent. With X-Wing in its present state, I know that a lot of you love tinkering with lists, but don't be afraid to net list the ship chassis, right? You're only building to 20 points. There's only a certain amount of combinations that you can do. Take those ship chassis that interest you. Look at that list that's really cool and go, oh, that's awesome. What can I then tinker with in the loadout? Because then you can make the list your own. You can make it do your own thing. Because I know that all of you out there love making your list your own. You want to be like, come on, I've made my own list. This is really cool. I do it like I've flown Ahsoka for the weekend because I wanted to do it myself. But yeah, like that. Do that. Like take along a couple of those lists that are tried and tested. You know they work. They're about the same power level, and throw them at each other and see what you think of the new version of the game. Because I am very happy to be wrong, and I'm glad to see X-Wing heading in a more positive direction. I've also seen a couple of people on the both on chats and on the 2.0 page, not 2.0 page, on the X-Wing UK page saying, oh yeah, but one of the most common things I heard over the weekend was that, oh, this is nice, but it isn't as good as 2.0. It's like, well, yes. I also, when 2.0 started, there was an awful lot of people that were complaining that it wasn't as good as 1. And by the end of 2, there was a lot of people having a good time. So what I would honestly say is that we are a community, and we do have a responsibility to build back up a community. The community will not build itself. We need to be the ones to put the effort in and do it. So please, 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 if you are in your local area and you have the opportunity to give someone a go at the new game, give it a try. Even if you tried the original 2.5 and didn't like it, give this new version a go. If you don't like it again, cool. Go back to playing 2. Not a problem. But if someone comes in and all they see is the complaining, they're not going to want to stay. The present people here are not going to want to stay. And then everyone just drifts away and we lose this lovely thing we have. So as whatever version of this lovely game you want to play, please play it. Please have a good time. But be nice to each other. Because I think we've lost that over a little bit of time.